I'm glad you're here. Stay with me until the end, and let me know in the comments which city you're watching from. My name is Maya Torres. I'm 36 years old. I'm the founder and CEO of Novatech Solutions, a software development company in Austin, Texas. We have over 300 employees. We work with clients around the world. We're worth something I never thought I'd have. 8 years ago, I was a different person. I was a 28-year-old entrepreneur with a brilliant idea, a passionate partner, and a future that seemed limitless. I had a best friend named Derek Walsh. We had met in college, bonded over late-night coding sessions and dreams of building something that mattered. We were going to change the world together. We did change the world. We built a platform that was going to revolutionize the way small businesses managed their operations. It was elegant. It was efficient. It was going to make us millionaires. And then Derek stole it. He took my code, my designs, my investors, and my future. He filed the patents in his name alone. He cut me out of the company. He left me with nothing but debt and a reputation that was destroyed by the lies he told about me. I was 28 years old. I had no job, no savings, and no idea how I was going to survive. 8 years later, Derek came to me. His company had collapsed. His investors had abandoned him. His reputation was in ruins. He was broke, desperate, and begging for a job at the company I had built from the ashes of what he stole. Before I tell you what I decided, before I tell you whether I gave him a job or watched him starve, I need you to understand what he did to me. I need you to understand the depth of his betrayal. I need you to understand the woman I was before he broke me, and the woman I became after. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted with everything, drop a broken heart in the comments. And tell me where you're watching from. I want to know who else has been where I was. Let me take you back. To a small apartment in Austin. To a kitchen table covered in coffee cups and code. To the year I thought I had found the partner who would help me build something that mattered. I met Derek Walsh in my sophomore year of college. He was a computer science major, like me. We were in the same algorithms class. He sat next to me on the first day. He had messy brown hair, glasses that were too big for his face, and a laugh that made everyone in the room turn around. "You look like you actually understand this stuff," he said. "I try," I said. "Want to study together?" "I'm drowning." I said yes. I didn't know then that saying yes to Derek Walsh would be the best decision I ever made. And the worst. We became friends. We studied together, coded together, stayed up all night working on projects that no one else cared about. He was brilliant. He was passionate. He was the kind of person who made you believe that anything was possible. After graduation, we both got jobs at tech companies in Austin. I worked for a startup. He worked for a larger firm. We stayed in touch. We talked about our dreams, our plans, the things we wanted to build. "We should start something together," he said one night. We were sitting on the roof of my apartment building, drinking beer, watching the city lights. "We should build something that's ours." "I've been thinking about that," I said. "I have an idea. Something that could really work." "Tell me." I told him. A platform that would help small businesses manage their inventory, their sales, their customer relationships. All in one place. Simple. Elegant. Affordable. Something that could compete with the big players but was designed for the people who couldn't afford them. He listened. He asked questions. He pushed me to think bigger, to see further, to imagine what it could become. "This is it," he said. "This is the thing. We have to build this." We did. We quit our jobs. We moved into a small office, a converted garage behind someone's house. We worked 16-hour days. We wrote code. We built prototypes. We pitched to investors. We believed, with everything we had, that we were building something that would change the world. The company was called Novatech. We chose the name together. Nova, for the explosion of light that happens when a star dies and something new is born. It was our fresh start. Our new beginning. We worked for 2 years. 2 years of ramen noodles and late nights. 2 years of investors who said no, who said we were too young, too inexperienced, too naive. 2 years of believing that someday, someone would say yes. And then someone did. A venture capital firm in San Francisco. They saw what we were building. They believed in it. They believed in us. They offered us $2 million in seed funding. I remember the day we got the email. I was in the office, alone, debugging a piece of code that had been driving me crazy for 3 days. Derek burst through the door, his face white, his hands shaking. "Maya," he said. "We got it. We got the funding." I stared at him. "What?" $2 million. They want to meet next week. They want to sign the papers. They want to make us millionaires. We cried. We hugged. We danced around the garage like children. We called our parents. We called our friends. We called everyone we had ever known. We were going to make it. We were going to be someone. The next 6 months were a blur. We hired employees. We moved into a real office. We built the platform. We launched. The response was incredible. Small businesses loved it. They told their friends. The platform grew. We were featured in tech blogs. We were invited to speak at conferences. We were becoming the thing we had dreamed of becoming. And then Derek started to change. It was subtle at first. He stopped asking for my opinion. He started making decisions without consulting me. He hired people I didn't know. He fired people I had recruited. He started coming to the office later, leaving earlier, disappearing from meetings he didn't tell me about. I told myself it was the stress. I told myself he was just trying to protect the company. I told myself that our friendship was strong enough to survive anything. I was wrong. The meeting was on a Tuesday. Derek called me into his office. He closed the door. He sat behind his desk. He didn't ask me to sit down. "Maya," he said. "There's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" He looked at his hands. He looked at the window. He looked anywhere but at me. "I've been talking to the investors. They think the company needs a single vision. A single leader. Someone who can make decisions without having to run everything by committee." I stared at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I've filed the patents in my name alone. I've restructured the company. I'm the sole owner now." I couldn't breathe. "You what?" "It's not personal. It's business." The investors wanted a clear chain of command. They wanted someone who could make decisions without having to argue about every little thing. They chose me. "You stole my company," I said. "You stole my idea. You stole my code. You stole everything." He stood up. His face was red. His hands were shaking. "I didn't steal anything. I built this company. I worked for this company. I sacrificed everything for this company. And you were just along for the ride. You had the idea, sure. But ideas are nothing. Execution is everything. And I executed." I looked at him. I looked at the man who had been my best friend for 10 years. The man who had stayed up with me, coded with me, dreamed with me. The man who had taken everything I had and called it his own. "I trusted you," I said. "I know," he said. "That was your mistake." I walked out of the office. I got in my car. I drove to my apartment. I sat on the floor and I didn't move for 3 hours. I thought about the years we had spent together. The late nights. The early mornings. The moments when we believed, with everything we had, that we were building something that would last. I thought about the code I had written, the designs I had drawn, the ideas I had shared with him in confidence, believing that he was my partner, my friend, my brother. I thought about the investors. The ones who had believed in us. The ones who had given us money. The ones who had trusted me because they trusted him. He had told them lies about me. I learned that later. He said I was difficult. He said I was holding the company back. He said I didn't have the vision, the drive, the ambition to make the company succeed. He said I was a liability. They believed him. Why wouldn't they? He was the one with the confidence, the charm, the ability to make people believe anything. And I was the quiet one. The one who wrote code. The one who stayed in the background. The one who was easy to erase. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. Derek's lawyers came after me. They said I had signed away my rights. They said I had agreed to the restructuring. They said I had no claim to the company. They were lying. I had signed nothing. I had agreed to nothing. But they had more money, more lawyers, more power. And I had nothing. I spent my savings on legal fees. I borrowed money from my parents. I borrowed money from friends. I fought. I fought for what was mine. I fought for the company I had built. I fought for the idea that had been stolen from me. I lost. The judge ruled in Derek's favor. The patents were his. The company was his. The future was his. I was left with nothing. No job. No savings. No reputation. The tech community had heard Derek's version of the story. They believed him. Why wouldn't they? He was the successful one. He was the one with the company, the money, the power. I was the one who had been erased. I sat in my apartment. I looked at the walls. I looked at the code I had written, the code that was no longer mine. I looked at the future that had been stolen from me. I had two choices. I could give up. I could let Derek win. I could become the person he said I was, someone who didn't have the vision, the drive, the ambition to succeed. Or I could fight. I could build something new. I could become someone he never expected. I chose to fight. I started over. I moved to a smaller apartment. I took a job at a coffee shop to pay the bills. I coded at night, in the hours when the world was quiet, when no one was watching, when I could pretend that the past didn't exist. I built a new platform. Something better than the one Derek had stolen. Something that learned from the mistakes we had made. Something that was mine. It took 2 years. 2 years of working during the day, coding at night. 2 years of sleeping 4 hours a night, of eating ramen noodles, of watching my savings dwindle to nothing. 2 years of believing that someday, someone would see what I was building. And then someone did. A small venture capital firm in Austin. They had heard about me through a friend of a friend. They wanted to see what I was working on. I showed them. They believed in it. They believed in me. They offered me $1 million in seed funding. It was half of what Derek had gotten. It was enough. I started Novatech Solutions. The same name. The same dream. Only this time, it was mine. The company grew. Slowly at first. Then faster. We hired employees. We moved into an office. We built a platform that was better than anything Derek had ever created. We became the company we had always dreamed of becoming. I didn't think about Derek. I didn't think about the years I had lost. I didn't think about the betrayal that had almost destroyed me. I thought about the work. I thought about the people who believed in me. I thought about the future I was building. And then, 8 years after he stole everything from me, Derek walked into my office. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the conversation I never thought I would have, the man who came to me broken and desperate, the choice I had to make, that's the part of this story that changed everything. That's the part that taught me what it really means to be free. If you've ever had to choose between revenge and redemption, type choice in the comments. Let me know you understand. I didn't sleep the night after I heard Derek was coming. I sat in my apartment, on the couch, staring at the wall. My dog, a rescue named Pixel, curled up beside me. She didn't ask questions. She didn't tell me what to do. I thought about Derek. About the man who had been my best friend. About the man who had stolen everything from me. About the man who was coming to my office, begging for a job. I thought about the last time I had seen him. The day I walked out of the office we had built together. The day he told me that trusting him was my mistake. The day I realized that the person I loved most in the world had been a stranger all along. I thought about the years that followed. The legal fees. The sleepless nights. The moment I sat in my apartment, staring at the walls, wondering if I would ever be anything. I thought about the woman I had become. The woman who built a company from nothing. The woman who was respected, admired, feared. The woman who held the keys to her former best friend's future in her hands. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to help him or let him drown. I didn't know if I was being generous or foolish, kind or vengeful. But I knew that I needed to see him. I needed to look him in the eyes. I needed to hear what he had to say. He came to my office on a Tuesday. I was in my corner office, looking over the quarterly reports, when my assistant buzzed. "Ms. Torres? There's someone here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment. He says it's urgent." "Who is it?" "He says his name is Derek Walsh. He says you used to know him." I put down my pen. I looked at the window. The city was bright with sun. The buildings were tall. The sky was blue. "Send him in," I said. The door opened. Derek walked in. He was older. His hair was gray at the temples. His face was lined. He was thin, too thin, the kind of thin that comes from stress, from fear, from a life that had fallen apart. He was wearing a suit that was too big for him, a tie that was too bright. He looked like someone who had been trying to hold on to something that was already gone. He stopped when he saw me. He looked at my office. He looked at my desk. He looked at the nameplate that said Chief Executive Officer. He looked at the windows that looked out over the city. He looked at me. "Maya," he said. He stopped. He couldn't find the words. "I'm the CEO," I said. "I have been for 5 years." He nodded. He didn't sit down. He stood in the middle of my office, his hands at his sides, his face pale. "I need a job," he said. "My company collapsed 8 months ago. The investors pulled out. The platform failed. I lost everything. I've been looking. I've been everywhere. No one will hire me. I heard you were hiring. I heard you were looking for someone with my experience." I looked at him. I looked at the man who had stolen my idea, my code, my future. The man who had told me that trusting him was my mistake. The man who was standing in my office, asking me for a job. "You want to work for me," I said. "I need to work. I have bills." He stopped. He looked at the floor. "I have nothing left. My wife left. My friends are gone. I have no one. And I heard you were the kind of person who gives people a chance." I sat back in my chair. I looked at him. I looked at this man who had taken everything from me. I looked at this man who was standing in my office, begging for something I could give him. "Why should I hire you?" I asked. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. His face was the face of someone who had been carrying something for a very long time. "Because I have nowhere else to go," he said. "Because you're the only person who might give me a chance. Because I know I don't deserve it. Because I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I'm asking anyway." I looked at him. I looked at the man I had loved. The man I had trusted. The man who had thrown me away. The man who was now standing in my office, broken and alone, asking for something I had given him for years without him ever asking. "I'll think about it," I said. "Leave your resume with my assistant. I'll be in touch." He nodded. He turned to leave. He stopped at the door. He didn't turn around. "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything. For what I did. For what I said. For stealing from you. For leaving you with nothing. For all of it." He walked out. I sat in my office. I looked at the window. The sun was setting. The city was golden pink and orange. The buildings were bright against the darkening sky. I thought about the man who had just walked out of my office. I thought about the woman he had left behind. I thought about the years I had spent building something that was mine. I picked up the phone. I called my head of HR. "Derek Walsh just dropped off his resume. I want you to put him through the standard hiring process. No special treatment. No shortcuts. He goes through the same process as everyone else. If he's the best candidate, we hire him. If he's not, we don't." "Yes, Ms. Torres." I hung up. I looked at the window. I looked at the city. I looked at the life I had built. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to hire him. I didn't know if I was being kind or cruel, generous or foolish. But I knew one thing. I was not the woman he had left behind. I was not the woman who sat on the floor of her apartment, wondering if she would ever be anything. I was not the woman who gave up her dreams for a man who didn't deserve them. I was someone else. Someone stronger. Someone who had built something from nothing. Someone who held the keys to his future in her hands. And I had to decide what kind of person I wanted to be. The HR process took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of phone screenings, skills assessments, panel interviews. 3 weeks of watching from my office as Derek walked through the building, sat in waiting rooms, shook hands with people who didn't know he used to be my partner. 3 weeks of waiting to see if he was good enough, smart enough, qualified enough to work for the company I had built. I didn't interfere. I didn't ask for updates. I told my head of HR to treat him like any other candidate. No favors. No shortcuts. No special consideration. But I watched. I watched from my corner office, from the window that looked out over the floor where candidates waited. I watched him sit in the chair by the reception desk, his hands folded, his face tight. I watched him walk into interview rooms, shake hands with my managers, try to sell himself to people who didn't know the story of who he was and what he had done. He didn't know I was watching. He didn't know that I saw him checking his phone every few minutes, looking for messages that didn't come. He didn't know that I saw the way his hands shook when he thought no one was looking. He didn't know that I saw the man he had become, older, tired, broken in ways that had nothing to do with the job he was applying for. I should have felt something. Satisfaction. Triumph. The cold pleasure of seeing the man who had betrayed me brought low. But I didn't. I felt something else. Something I didn't have a name for. Something that was almost like sadness. The final interview was scheduled for a Thursday. My head of HR came to my office the day before. "We've narrowed it down to 3 candidates. Derek Walsh is one of them. He's qualified. His skills are strong. But he's not the strongest candidate." I looked at her. "Who's the strongest?" "A woman named Priya Sharma. She's been working in software development for 10 years. She's got a track record of success. She's sharp. She's driven. She's exactly the kind of person we want on our team." "And Eric?" "He's good. He's not great. He's been out of work for 8 months, and it shows. His skills are dated. His network has dried up. He's not the candidate he was 10 years ago." I nodded. I looked at the window. The city was gray with rain. The buildings were wet. The streets were empty. Let me sit in on the final interview, I said. I want to see him for myself. She looked at me. She didn't ask why. She didn't need to. The interview was at 10 a.m. I was in the conference room at 9:45. My head of HR was there. So was my head of product development. So was my senior HR manager. They looked at me when I walked in. They didn't say anything. They didn't need to. I sat at the head of the table. I put my notebook in front of me. I looked at the window. The rain had stopped. The sun was trying to break through the clouds. At 10 a.m. exactly, the door opened. Derek walked in. He was wearing a suit. A different suit than the one he had worn 3 weeks ago. This one was newer, better fitted. Someone had told him to dress up. Someone had told him this was important. He saw me. He stopped. His face went pale. His hands went to his sides. He looked at me like I was something he had seen in a dream, something he had forgotten, something he was seeing for the first time. Maya, he said. Mr. Walsh, I said. Please have a seat. He sat down. He looked at the people around the table. He looked at my head of HR, at my product development lead, at my senior HR manager. He looked at me. I didn't know, he started. You didn't know I would be on the panel, I said. I'm the CEO. I sit in on final interviews for senior positions. It's standard procedure. He nodded. He looked at his hands. They were shaking. Let's begin, I said. The interview was professional. My head of HR asked about his experience. My product lead asked about his skills. My senior HR manager asked about his management style. Derek answered. He was nervous. He stumbled over his words. He couldn't find the confidence he had once worn like a coat. I didn't ask anything. I sat at the head of the table and I watched. I watched him try to sell himself to people who didn't know him, who didn't care about his past, who only cared about what he could do for the company. I watched him try to be the man he had been 10 years ago, the man who had been on his way up, the man who had everything going for him. He wasn't that man anymore. He was someone else. Someone who had lost his company, his reputation, his sense of who he was. Someone who was standing at the edge of something, waiting to see if he would be pulled back. At the end of the interview, my head of HR looked at me. Ms. Torres, do you have any questions for Mr. Walsh? I looked at Derek. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. His hands were shaking. One question, I said. Mr. Walsh, why do you want to work for this company? He looked at me. He looked at the people around the table. He looked at the window, at the city, at the sky that was trying to break through the clouds. Because it's the best company in the city, he said. Because I want to work for people who are building something. Because I want to be part of something that matters. He stopped. He looked at me. His voice changed. Because I need a second chance. I know I don't deserve it. I know I've made mistakes. I know I've hurt people. But I'm not the same person I was. I'm not the man who, he stopped. He couldn't finish. The room was quiet. My head of HR was looking at her notebook. My product lead was looking at the window. My senior HR manager was looking at me. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, I said. We'll be in touch. He stood up. He walked to the door. He stopped. He turned around. Maya, he said. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for stealing from you. I'm sorry for the years I took from you. I'm sorry for, his voice broke. He put his hand over his mouth. I'm sorry. He walked out. The door closed behind him. I sat at the head of the table. I looked at my hands. They weren't shaking. They were steady. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the decision I had to make, the choice between revenge and redemption, that's the part of this story that changed everything. That's the part that taught me who I really was. If you've ever had to decide whether to give someone a second chance, type second in the comments. Let me know you understand. The decision was mine. My head of HR made that clear. The panel would make a recommendation, but the final decision was mine. The final decision was always mine. I went back to my office. I closed the door. I sat at my desk. I looked at the nameplate that said Chief Executive Officer. I looked at the window that looked out over the city. I looked at the building I had built. I thought about Priya Sharma. A woman who had spent 10 years building a career. A woman who was sharp, driven, exactly the kind of person I wanted on my team. A woman who had never been given anything, who had earned everything she had. I thought about Derek. You didn't get the job. We're offering it to another candidate. Someone who was stronger, more qualified, a better fit for the position. He didn't say anything. I heard him exhale. I heard him deflate. I understand, he said. Thank you for considering me. I'm not done, I said. I have something else for you. Not the job you applied for. Something different. Something that might be a better fit. What do you mean? I'm offering you a position in our entry-level training program. It's a 6-month program. You'll learn our systems, our processes, our culture. You'll be paid a trainee salary. At the end of 6 months, if you perform well, you'll be considered for a permanent position. He was quiet for a long time. I heard him breathing. I heard him trying to find words. Why, he asked. Why would you do this for me? After what I did to you? I'm not doing it for you, I said. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing it because I don't want to be the person who let someone fall when I could have caught them. I'm doing it because I'm not you. I'm not the person who walks away. He was crying. I heard it. The way he was trying to be quiet, trying to hold himself together, trying to be the man he thought he was supposed to be. Thank you, he said. Thank you, Maya. I don't deserve. I know you don't, I said. But you're getting it anyway. Don't make me regret it. I hung up. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The sun was setting. The city was golden, pink and orange. The buildings were bright against the darkening sky. I didn't know if I had done the right thing. I didn't know if I was being kind or foolish, generous or naive. I didn't know if Derek would take the chance I was giving him or throw it away the way he had thrown away everything else. But I knew one thing. I was not the woman he had left behind. I was not the woman who sat on the floor of her apartment, wondering if she would ever be anything. I was not the woman who gave up her dreams for a man who didn't deserve them. I was someone else. Someone who could give a second chance without losing herself. Someone who could be kind without being weak. Someone who could hold the keys to someone else's future and choose to open the door. Derek started the training program the next week. He showed up on Monday morning, dressed in a suit that was too tight, his hair cut short, his face clean. He looked like someone who was trying to be someone else. I watched him from my office. I watched him walk into the training room. I watched him sit in a chair that was too small for him, next to people who were young enough to be his children. I watched him try to be part of something he didn't understand. He didn't look at me. He didn't try to talk to me. He kept his head down, his hands folded, his eyes on the work. He was good at the work. I knew he would be. Derek had always been good at the work. It was the rest of it he couldn't figure out. The rest of it he had never been able to figure out. The weeks passed. He learned our systems. He learned our processes. He learned our culture. He was quiet. He was careful. He was the kind of employee who did what he was told, who didn't complain, who didn't ask for anything. The other trainees liked him. He was older. He was experienced. He knew things they didn't know. He helped them. He taught them. He became someone they could count on. I watched. I watched from my office. I watched him become someone I didn't recognize. Someone who was trying. Someone who was changing. Someone who might be worth the chance I had given him. The call came on a Friday. It was from my head of HR. Ms. Torres, I need to talk to you about Derek Walsh. What about him? He's been doing well in the training program. His supervisors are impressed. His peers respect him. He's been helping the younger trainees, staying late to work with them, putting in extra time. That's good. It is. But there's something else. One of the trainees came to me today. She said Derek told her something. Something about you. About what happened between you. I felt something cold settle in my chest. What did he say? He told her the truth. He told her you used to be partners. He told her he stole from you. He told her he was wrong. He told her he's spent 8 years regretting it. He told her he doesn't expect you to forgive him. He told her he's just grateful for the chance you gave him. I sat back in my chair. I looked at the window. The city was gray with rain. The buildings were wet. The streets were empty. What do you want me to do? My head of HR asked. Nothing, I said. Do nothing. Let him stay. Let him work. Let him be. Are you sure? I looked at the window. I looked at the rain. I looked at the city that had become my home. I'm sure, I said. Let him stay. The training program ended. Derek was offered a permanent position. A junior role. Something that was beneath his experience, beneath his skills, beneath the man he had been 10 years ago. He took it. He didn't negotiate. He didn't ask for more. He just said thank you and started the next Monday. He was good at the job. Better than good. He was the kind of employee that managers dream about, reliable, hardworking, always willing to help. He didn't try to climb the ladder. He didn't try to impress anyone. He just did the work, day after day, week after week, month after month. I promoted him after a year. Not because of who he was, not because of what he had been to me, but because he deserved it. He had earned it. He had worked harder than anyone else, learned faster than anyone else, produced better results than anyone else. He was the best person for the job. He came to my office when he got the news. He stood in the doorway, his hands at his sides, his face careful. He looked at me the way you look at something you're afraid to touch. Thank you, he said. I know I don't deserve. You deserve it, I said. You earned it. That's why you got it. He nodded. He didn't say anything else. He turned to leave. He stopped at the door. Maya, he said. I want you to know something. I'm not the same person I was. I'm not the man who stole from you. I'm trying to be someone else. Someone better. Someone who deserves the chances you've given me. I looked at him. At the man who had been my best friend. At the man who had stolen everything from me. At the man who was standing in my office, telling me he was trying to be better. I know, I said. I see it. Every day. I see you trying. He nodded. He walked out. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The city was bright with sun. The buildings were clean. The sky was blue. I didn't know if I had forgiven him. I didn't know if I ever could. But I knew that I had stopped being angry. I had stopped carrying the weight of what he had done. I had stopped letting the past define who I was. And that, I realized, was more important than forgiveness. That was freedom. The next year was a good year for the company. We grew. We hired. We launched new products. We expanded into new markets. We became the kind of company that people talked about, that people wanted to work for, that people admired. Derek was part of that. He wasn't the most important part. He wasn't the leader, the visionary, the one who made things happen. But he was there. He was reliable. He was someone that people could count on. He started mentoring the younger employees. The ones who were just starting out, who didn't know what they were doing, who were scared of making mistakes. He was patient with them. He was kind. He was the kind of mentor I wished I had had when I was starting out. I watched him with the young woman who had taken the job he had applied for. Priya Sharma. She was brilliant. She was driven. She was everything I had been at her age. And Derek helped her. He taught her the things she didn't know. He showed her how to navigate the company. He made her better. She came to me one day, after a meeting. She looked nervous. Her hands were clasped in front of her. Her face was tight. "Ms. Torres," she said. "I want to ask you something. About Derek." "What about him?" "He told me something. About you. About what happened between you." I looked at her. At this young woman who was so much like I had been. At this young woman who was trying to understand something she didn't have words for. "What did he tell you?" "He told me you used to be partners. He told me he stole from you. He told me he was wrong. He told me he spent years trying to be someone else. Someone who deserves the chances you've given him." I nodded. I waited. "I don't understand," she said. "How can you work with him? How can you be kind to him? How can you give him chances? After what he did to you?" I looked at her. I looked at this young woman who was trying to understand something that had taken me years to learn. "Because I'm not the person I was when he stole from me," I said. "Because I've spent 8 years building something that is mine. Because I don't need to be angry to be strong. Because I don't need revenge to be whole. Because the best revenge is a life well lived. And I have that. I have everything I ever wanted. And he has nothing. He has a job he's grateful for. A life he's trying to rebuild. A past he can't escape. And I don't need to punish him. Life already has." She looked at me. Her face was open. Her eyes were wide. "You forgave him," she said. I shook my head. "I didn't forgive him. I let go. I let go of the anger. I let go of the hurt. I let go of the person I was when he stole from me. And when I let go of that person, I realized I didn't need anything from him. Not an apology. Not an explanation. Not a second chance. I didn't need anything. I was free." She nodded. She walked out. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The city was bright. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and purple. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the conversation I never thought I would have, the moment Derek came to my office, the words he finally said, that's the part of this story that I didn't see coming. That's the part that taught me what it really means to forgive. If you've ever let go of something you thought you would carry forever, type "let go" in the comments. Let me know you understand. The years after Derek started working for me were strange. Not uncomfortable, exactly. Not painful. Just strange. He was there, in my building, in my company, in the world I had built without him. He walked the same hallways. He rode the same elevators. He sat in meetings in rooms where I had made decisions that changed the course of my life. But he didn't approach me. He didn't try to talk to me. He didn't send emails or leave notes or show up at my office door. He kept his distance. He did his work. He helped the younger employees. He became someone that people in the building knew, someone that people liked, someone that people trusted. I watched him. I couldn't help it. Every time I walked through the office, my eyes found him. He was always working, always focused, always trying to be better than he had been the day before. He stayed late. He came early. He never complained. He never asked for anything. He was good at his job. Not great. Not the best. But good. Reliable. Steady. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't expect anything. He just worked. And I let him. I let him be part of the world I had built. I let him be someone who mattered, not to me, but to the people who worked with him, the people he helped, the people who didn't know who he had been or what he had done. I didn't tell anyone. Not the story of what he had done. Not the story of who he had been. I let him be whoever he wanted to be. I let him build something new. The way I had built something new. The way we all have to build something new when the thing we thought would last falls apart. The promotion came 3 years later. Derek had been with the company for 4 years. He had worked his way up from the training program to a senior position. He had earned it. He had earned it the way you earn something when you start with nothing and build it yourself. I signed the papers. I approved the promotion. I didn't think about it. I didn't agonize over it. It was a business decision. He was the best person for the job. That was all. He came to my office when he got the news. He stood in the doorway, the way he always stood, his hands at his sides, his face careful. "Thank you," he said. "I know I don't." "You deserve it," I said. "You earned it. That's why you got it." He nodded. He didn't say anything else. He turned to leave. He stopped at the door. "Maya," he said. "I want you to know something. I've been seeing someone. For a year now. Her name is Claire. She's a teacher. She's kind. She's patient. He stopped. He looked at his hands. She's good for me. She makes me want to be better. She makes me want to be the person I should have been all along." I looked at him. At the man who had been my best friend. At the man who had stolen everything from me. At the man who was standing in my office, telling me he had found someone who made him want to be better. "I'm happy for you," I said. And I meant it. I was happy for him. Not because I wanted him back. Not because I still loved him. But because I had let go of the anger. I had let go of the hurt. I had let go of the person I was when he stole from me. And when I let go of that person, I realized I didn't need anything from him. Not an apology. Not an explanation. Not a second chance. I didn't need anything. I was free. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. His face was the face of someone who had been looking for something for a very long time and had finally found it. "Thank you," he said. "For everything. For the chance. For the job. For letting me stay. For letting me be someone else. He stopped. He couldn't finish. "Go," I said. "Go be happy. You deserve it. We both do." He walked out. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The city was bright with sun. The buildings were clean. The sky was blue. The next year, Derek came to my office with a proposal. He wanted to start a mentorship program for young entrepreneurs. He wanted to help people who were starting out, who didn't have the resources, who didn't have the connections. He wanted to give them the thing he had never given me, a chance. I listened. I asked questions. I pushed him to think bigger, to see further, to imagine what it could become. "It's a good idea," I said. "Do it." He looked at me. His eyes were wet. "You really think so?" "I really think so. You know what it's like to fail. You know what it's like to lose everything. You know what it's like to start over. That's something you can teach people. That's something that matters." He nodded. He walked out. He started the program. It grew. It helped people. It became something that mattered. I watched. I watched him become someone I didn't recognize. Someone who was trying to give back. Someone who was trying to be better. Someone who was trying to make up for what he had done. I didn't know if he could make up for it. I didn't know if anyone could. But I knew that he was trying. And that, I realized, was something. That was more than something. The call came on a Tuesday. It was from Derek. He was crying. I could hear it in his voice. Maya, he said. I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The city was gray with rain. The buildings were wet. The streets were empty. I'm listening, I said. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for stealing from you. I'm sorry for the years I took from you. I'm sorry for making you feel like you were nothing. You were never nothing. You were everything. And I was too stupid to see it. I didn't say anything. I let him talk. I've spent 8 years trying to be someone else. Someone better. Someone who deserves the chances you've given me. And I don't know if I'll ever get there. I don't know if I'll ever be the person I want to be. But I'm trying. I'm trying every day. He stopped. I heard him breathing. I heard him trying to find words. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said. I don't expect anything from you. But I wanted you to know. I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. I wanted you to know that I'm grateful. I wanted you to know that you saved me. You saved me from being the person I was. You saved me from becoming the person I was going to be. You saved me by giving me a chance. You saved me by letting me stay. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The rain was falling. The city was gray. But I wasn't cold. I wasn't sad. I was something else. Something I didn't have a name for. Something that was almost like peace. I know, I said. I know you're sorry. And I believe you. But I need you to understand something. Being sorry isn't enough. You have to show me. You have to show me every day. You have to show me that you're not the same person who stole from me. You have to show me that you're trying to be someone else. I will, he said. Every day. For the rest of my life. I didn't see Derek after that call. Not for a while. He kept working. He kept running the mentorship program. He kept trying to be better. But he didn't come to my office. He didn't try to talk to me. He gave me space. He let me be. I thought about what he said. About being sorry. About trying to be better. About the years he had spent carrying the weight of what he did. I thought about the woman I had been. The woman who sat on the floor of her apartment, staring at the walls, wondering if she would ever be anything. The woman who spent 8 years building something that was hers. The woman who was told she was nothing, who was treated like nothing, who almost believed it. I thought about the woman I had become. The woman who built a company from nothing. The woman who was respected, admired, feared. The woman who could give a second chance without losing herself. The woman who could be kind without being weak. The woman who could let go. I thought about forgiveness. About what it meant. About what it cost. About whether I was ready to give it. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure I would ever be sure. But I knew something. I knew that carrying the anger was heavier than letting it go. I knew that holding on to the hurt was keeping me from something I wanted. I knew that I had spent 8 years building a life without him, and that life was good. But it was missing something. Something I hadn't let myself name. I wanted to be free. Not free of him. Free of the past. Free of the story I had been telling myself about who I was and what I deserved. And the only way to be free was to let go. I called him to my office on a Friday. The end of the day. The office was quiet. The city was dark. The lights were on in the buildings across the street. He walked in. He stood in the doorway. He looked at me. He didn't sit down. "I've been thinking," I said. "About what you said. About wanting to be better. About wanting to be someone else." He nodded. He waited. "I want you to know something," I said. "I don't forgive you." He flinched. I saw it. A small movement, like I had hit him. "I don't forgive you for what you did. I don't forgive you for stealing from me. I don't forgive you for the years you took from me. I don't forgive you for making me feel like I was nothing. I don't forgive you for any of it." He didn't say anything. He stood in the doorway, his hands at his sides, his face pale. "But I'm not angry anymore," I said. "I'm not carrying the weight of what you did. I'm not holding on to the hurt. I'm not letting the past define who I am. I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go because I want to be free. I'm letting it go because I don't want to carry it anymore. I'm letting it go because I deserve to be happy. And I am happy. I'm happy with the life I've built. I'm happy with the person I've become. And I don't need anything from you. Not an apology. Not an explanation. Not a second chance. I don't need anything." He was crying. Tears running down his face. He didn't wipe them away. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. I know it doesn't matter. I know it doesn't change anything. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for how I left. I'm sorry for the years I took from you. I'm sorry for making you feel like you were nothing. You were never nothing. You were everything. And I was too stupid to see it." I looked at him. At the man who had been my best friend. At the man who had stolen everything from me. At the man who was standing in my office, crying, telling me he was sorry. "I know," I said. "I know you're sorry. And I believe you. But I need you to understand something. Being sorry isn't enough. You have to show me. You have to show me every day. You have to show me that you're not the same person who stole from me. You have to show me that you're trying to be someone else." He nodded. He wiped his face. He looked at me. "I will," he said. "Every day. For the rest of my life. Here's what I've learned. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you. It's about letting go of something that was never yours to carry. It's about choosing to be free. It's about building a life that is yours, a life that no one can take away, a life that is enough." Derek took something from me. He took my idea. He took my company. He took years of my life that I spent trying to rebuild. But I built something new. I built a company that was mine. I built a reputation that was mine. I built a life that was mine. And when he came to me, broken and desperate, I didn't turn him away. I gave him a second chance. I gave him a job. I let him be part of my life. Not because he deserved it. But because I wanted to be the kind of person who gives second chances. Because I wanted to be the kind of person who doesn't let the past decide the future. Because I wanted to be free. I didn't forgive him. Not the way you think. I didn't wake up one day and decide to let go of the anger. I didn't have a moment of clarity where I understood what he did and why. I didn't find peace in the knowledge that he was sorry. But I let go. I let go because I was tired. I was tired of carrying something that wasn't mine to carry. I was tired of being angry at someone who didn't matter anymore. I was tired of being the person who was broken. I was tired of being the person who couldn't move on. I let go. And when I let go, I realized something. The person who broke me was not the person who saved me. I was. I was the one who saved me. I was the one who built a life from nothing. I was the one who became someone. I was the one who let go. I am Maya Torres. I am 36 years old. I am the founder and CEO of Novatech Solutions. I built this company. I built this life. I built myself. And I am enough. I have always been enough. I just didn't know it. I think about the woman I was. The woman who sat on the floor of her apartment, staring at the walls, wondering if she would ever be anything. I want to tell her something. I want to tell her that she is going to be okay. That she is going to be more than okay. That she is going to be someone he never expected. That she is going to build something from nothing. That she is going to be free. I want to tell her that the best revenge is a life well lived. That the best revenge is not caring anymore. That the best revenge is letting go. I want to tell her that she doesn't need him. That she never needed him. That she needed herself. And that she was always there. She was always enough. I am Maya Torres. I am the founder and CEO of Novatech Solutions. I built this company. I built this life. I built myself. And I am free. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever had to rebuild yourself from nothing, if you've ever wondered if you would ever be whole again, I want you to know something. You will be whole. You will build something new. You will become someone that no one can touch. Not because you forget what happened, but because you choose to be free. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to forget. You don't have to be the person who gives second chances. But you do have to be the person who shows up for yourself. Who fights for yourself. Who builds a life that is yours. And when the moment comes, when you have the chance to let go of the anger, the hurt, the weight of what was done to you, I hope you take it. Not because they deserve it. Because you do. Because you deserve to be free. My name is Maya Torres. I built something from nothing. I gave a second chance. I let go. And I am free. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose between revenge and redemption, leave a comment. Tell me your story. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. I have more stories to tell. And I want you to be here for them. My name is Maya Torres. I am enough. I have always been enough. And so are you.